Well, the cat's out of the bag. My wife was just stolen away from me by my boss, who's like in his 70s. And the reason that he's taking her from me is because he wants her, and he made it very clear. And the reason she's going is because he's loaded. It's ridiculous. This is the same woman who I thought I would spend the rest of my days with. And now, to be honest with you, I can't even stand to look at her. It's so funny how quickly love can turn into hate. All it takes is a split second after a betrayal to want to scorch the ground somebody walks on. I'm feeling dangerous. I cannot let this go. If you're going to tell me to take the high road, please keep your advice to yourself, man. Until you've been in these shoes right here, and you'll understand. It all started when I was 35. I came home late last night to find out that my wife had packed her bags and left. I thought it was one of her stunts. So I let her. And then I just messaged to call me back. I know most people would have immediately started looking for her or panicked, but I was too tired for that crap. I have been working my behind off at a work fixing my messes that my boss made. And what if the point in being the head of the legal when people do not even take you legal advice? Well, honestly, I get paid to prevent message, which costs the company more than if they would just have taken the necessary precautions in the first place, and as you can imagine, I was frustrated. It did not help that I was going to be working throughout the holiday, and I had to figure out a way to tell my wife Charlene. There are two things that I love in my life: my wife and my job. It just so happens that they're the same thing that brings me misery. Am I happy? Yes, I am, but it feels like I can never win. When I focus too much on my wife, I cannot pick up extra work and my pocket suffers. I give Charlene all the luxuries that she needs, and when she's happy, I'm happy. I don't mind working to the bone to make her happy, but sometimes it's never enough. She frustrates me when she does not seem to understand what I'm telling her. She can be impatient and bratty, and I don't mind it, since she makes me happy. Many people ask why I married her. I could have married an intelligent woman who did not drain my little pockets. I married Charlene because I can be happy with her. I forgot about the outside world when she pulls me into her world. She always has me trying new things that I would never even admit to. There's times when I'm so stress-free and carefree with her, she does not think too much, she just lives in the moment. In addition, she's not scared to show her emotions and her love. For example, she'll tell me when she misses me, and will even show up at the office with some tears for me. When she goes shopping, she also buys for me. She remembers everything about me, and even knows my schedule more than I do. She takes care of me just as much as I take care of her. However, sometimes she does not know the limit. Recently, she wanted an increase in her allowance, and I asked her to ask me again when they reviewed my salary. She told me to cut other expenses because she wanted the money right then. She could not spend the holidays without new accessories, and I snapped at her and asked her to be patient for once, and she sulked. Well, normally, I try to get her to understand, but this time I was so fed up. See, I had a terrible day at work only to find out that she maxed out the card. In addition, I just found out that I thought I would not be able to get a vacation. The argument was very bad, and we went to bed angry with each other, which has happened a couple of times, and I'm so tired of it. The next morning, she did not talk to me, and I made no effort to talk to her. That afternoon, I sent her money for the weeks, and she maxed out her card, but she did not thank me. I could not have my phone for a while because of an urgent client meeting, so I didn't touch it till I got home. When I got home, she was gone. She only sent a message that afternoon telling me that she was done, because I clearly did not love her or put enough effort into her. She said I promised to take care of her, but I was making her suffer. Guys, I'm honestly so tired because it's never enough. Does she want me to go into debt to take care of her? I figured that she would cool off in a couple of days and go to sleep. The next day was working as usual, and at least it was a Friday, so I was looking forward to the weekend. I figured I would fix things with her, maybe plan a date. When I got to the office, several people were staring at me, which I did not understand. When I was about to enter, I noticed Charlene with a takeaway bag, but she was looking at something on her phone. Joy filled my heart, and I made a beeline for her. I hugged her as soon as I got there and said that it was such a pleasant surprise. To my shock, she pushes me off and asks what the hell I'm doing. Well, I recoiled, as she looked at me with utter disgust, as if she had never seen me in her life before. I reminded her that I was her husband. She had lost her memory or something. She laughed and said that a husband took care of his wife. I had failed to do that, and she was done with me. She told me to leave her alone because I was wasting her time, and I asked her to actually act like a grown person for once, in case she did not notice. She was at my workplace, and she then asked me if I thought I was only the man in the world who could see her value. When she said that she was done, she really was, because she had found a real man. Just then, my boss walked out of his office, and I, schooled my expression into a neutral one, not wanting him to overhear our convo. As I was greeting him, she handed him the food and then kissed him on the cheek. Finally, my brain clicked. I realized what's happening. She was here for my boss because he was apparently the better man. I laughed it off. If I did not, then I was about to cry. I did not bother asking redundant questions. It was clear that they were dating. I looked at my boss and asked him why he did such a thing. I thought that he had honor. He laughed as I said the funniest thing ever, and then he put his hands on her waist and asked if she had not told the fool that he was dumped. She looked at me and nodded in confirmation, and she was leaving me for that old man. Clearly this was about money. I was such a fool to think that she loved me. And that was enough. I was told that she was just a high-class gold digger, and I did not listen. Now I was seeing her true colors. Oh, what a fool I've been. My boss, on the other hand, was standing there smug. I remembered how he had looked longingly at her every time she came to the office. I had seen how other men looked at her but never felt threatened. I knew she was going nowhere. She was mine. I'd actually pitied him, thinking he would pine forever. But an oversight I made. One I'll not make again. Something within me snapped at the next thing, and I knew I was exchanging words with him. He left her and tried to physically attack me. But I had him on the floor. I saw red. It only came to when I was being dragged away by security, and guys, they just sat me in the lobby. Just like that. Then I was told to leave. I got my suspension as soon as I stepped out of the building, and I lost my wife. I lost my job. All in 1 second. It has to be some sort of joke, but it's not. My anger is white hot. I want to make both of them pay. This is unjust. Physical violence will get me nothing, as I've learned, and no, I want them to cry without me touching them. I'm taking ideas, the worse the better. I'm willing to go as far as possible, and they will never, ever smile again. Update number 1. A few months later. I never thought that I would be so tired and depressed in my life. If this is rock bottom, here we are. I cannot even remember what it's like to smile. All I feel is hopelessness, The person who said that once the sadness hit, I would not have the energy for revenge was 100% right. I don't have the strength for revenge right now. All I want is some escape from this hell, and I'm in a very dark place, and because of that, my sister has moved in with me. I told her what happened as soon as it did, and she was in town, so passed by my house, and she's actually going to be in town for 6 months. She usually gets an apartment because she does not get along with Charlene. Now that Charlene is no longer in my life, I guess it's no longer going to be a problem. When Ruby found out what happened, she did not judge me or tell me that I should have seen this coming. She supported me and told me that she would help me get through it. She also offered to move in when I just told her that I was struggling to deal with my anger. She was able to distract me, and when the depression set in, she was my rock. Besides my emotional state, the rest of my life has been hell. I've been fighting with my former employers for about a month now, and they don't want to reinstate me or pay me for my severance. Despite the fact that there's footage of my boss trying to attack me first, they're trying to get me on a technicality. They're painting me as an illogical, violent person. My divorce proceedings are not any better. She's playing everyone, acting innocent. She claims that I did not make time for her. That's why she left. Of course, I did not have time for her. How could I when I was slaving off, making sure that she had everything she ever wanted? She wants to take me for everything that I have. She has suggested a settlement where she gets 35% of all of my assets. I'm aiming for 0. I don't even want to pay her alimony. She's the one who decided not to work. I did not force her, and in addition, I gave her a lot of gifts that I'm not asking for back. Besides, her new boo has a lot of money. She's just doing this to be petty. I know she's doing this because I dared to stand up to her when she wanted that allowance, and I've always given in to what she's demanded, but this time I could not. Oh no, I was going to give her what she wanted. She just had to be patient. At least what happened showed me her true colors. She was so quick to run into that old man's arms as soon as he offered her more. It was going to happen one day or the other. It just happened now, though. That's what I get for marrying for looks and a vibe, as my sister so kindly reminded me. She tells me the truth as it is, even if I don't want to hear it. She's telling me not to give up and fight to the very end. I want to, but my strength is waning, and it just feels pointless. Update number 2. 2 months later. Hey, everybody. So here we are, update 2, and well, when I look back at the man I was 2 months ago, I'm not ashamed at all. I'm actually thankful for I was able to go through that and pull myself out of the gutter. I'm glad that I was also able to carry on with the divorce while also fighting for my job. Because of that, I was able to get my divorce. I had to pay her alimony, but it's only going to be for a few months because she's actually getting married to my former boss. Can you believe that? When I found out that she was getting married, I was just convinced it was a joke. How could they get married so soon? I was shocked that they had not driven each other crazy already, and I could not believe that he had been able to put up with her for so long. But then, my sister reminded me that Charlene could act sweet when she wanted, and she was clearly nailing it. Enough to get herself married just a few months shy of her divorce. Well, eventually I had to accept that I lost her and look at my future. The fact of the matter was that I needed to do something about my career. I could not lose it. I would be darned if that man took it away from me, and I fought tooth and nail, but he did everything in his power so that I could not get my job back. As I write this, they're still dragging me through the mud. That is a very big mistake on their part, as they'll soon learn why. The other day, I was sitting down, thinking of all the things that I had to put into the company, only to have it thrown back at me. There was no way I was going to accept it. I was one of the reasons why it was still standing, even though they weathered so many storms, especially because of their practices. I'll not say much on here because while I'm anonymous, I'm not stupid. It takes one person linking a single detail and it's over. I'll say, though, that I'm not the only person who has an axe to grind with them. When I was working with them, somebody actually approached me when I was there, and they want to expose them. I was working for them, so I refused at the time, but now that they have unfairly dismissed me without any pay, I owe them nothing. I know darning things that'll have them shut down permanently. Sure, there were contacts in place to protect them, but I helped put some of them in place, and I like a challenge. I found a way around them, and I've begun speaking to my new friend. I might just be the missing plug that he needed to put them in the ground once and for all. I can't wait for them to lose everything, just as I've lost mine. It'll bring nothing back, but it'll sure bring me so much peace. Other people are going to be affected by this, but there's casualties in every war. It's a part of life. They're also better off working for other companies. I'll tell you this, I worked for that company for years, but they messed over so many people who worked for them and did not give a darn. They would sooner throw an employer out who was in the right under the bus than admitting to their mistake. I watched and allowed these injustices to take place because at the end of the day, I needed a paycheck. Update number 3, 3 months later. It's so amazing how things can happen in perfect timing. It's been 3 months since I started bringing my previous company down. It so happens to be a few days after my ex-wife had a wedding to my boss. I would know because I was there. You must be asking, who the hell invited me and why did I go? Long story short, the investigation in the company was concluded a few weeks before the wedding, but I had a special request. I told the man I've been working with what happened and asked if we could not have the cops arrest the people on that day. Most of them were going to be at the wedding anyways. I know it's not very professional, but I've been reading a lot of revenge stories online. I wanted to embarrass them publicly, and I heard that the wedding's a great place to do it. Now that everything has been revealed, I can tell you a bit more about what I did. There was a company investigating the unethical practice done by the company that approached me with questions while I was still working there. One of the employees gave me his card and told me to approach him if I ever changed my mind. It just so happened that I got betrayed weeks later. I approached him and told him that I would tell him everything he needed to know. I knew the legal loophole as I was one who set them myself. There was no way I was going to allow a system I built to be used against me. Well, guys, for months, I helped them strengthen the case against my previous company. Not only that, but I was finally able to win my case 2 weeks ago. This was perfect because I got my payouts before everything went down. With the way things are going, they're going to be bankrupt. We did it, we toppled them, and the worst part I'd say is that I got to be the one to break the news at the wedding. Let me paint the scene. Imagine a lavish wedding, no cost spared, with over 600 guests, most of them very influential people in this town. Despite the scandalous nature of their relationship, people showed up. Since they love drama, I gave them an extra double scoop when I showed up just as they were about to say their vows, telling them, "Oh, wait a second." My ex was angry and told me that she didn't want me back. I laughed and said, "Oh, I'm actually here to save you, dear." And then the cops came out to arrest her husband and all his little associates. There was chaos. Some even attempted to run. But the exits were blocked, man. There had been no warning. They were all sitting ducks, and I had brought them to their knees. The look on my former's face, well, his face said it all. He was shocked. I was looking well-groomed for once and very sure of the situation, and I was telling guests to remain calm, as this was police business. Once they were taken away, she made a beeline for me and asked why I got her hubby arrested. I laughed and laughed and laughed and said that I had saved her from marrying someone whose assets just got stolen. Duh! Everything he owns is frozen. I left her standing there in shock, and you want to know the best part? That week, she declared that she did not want my alimony anymore, and that's been signed off by the judge. She's been so hasty thinking that she's caught a big fish, when actually she had just gotten herself into a bigger fishing net. Now, what was she gonna do? I didn't know, and I didn't care. Final update 6 months later. Wow. I can't believe it's been so long. I actually remembered this post because of my sister, and it's my turn to visit her, and she was asking about what happened with the case. That's when I realized that I actually forgot to update about what happened. I'm so sorry about it. Please forgive me. I'm sure you'll forgive me once I tell you what happened. First thing first, they were all found guilty of multiple crimes. Basically, they violated a lot of trade laws and, I don't know, a lot of lingo I don't get, and had many of their dark secrets revealed, and it was thanks to me. I was granted immunity since I was under contract to help them protect their secrets, and I will not give too many details about this, of what they did for my safety. I don't want to live like this anymore. I want to live a peaceful life. At the end of it all, the company went bankrupt. The law at least took care of the employees and gave them some funds. They'll be able to take care of themselves for a while. That was one thing that nearly made me hesitate. It was the employees. At the end of the day, those are people with families that need to be fed. Was it worth it for me to just do that and help bring the entire company down because of my vendetta? Well, yeah. Well, that was something I had to think long and hard about, and after a while I realized, well, the day is coming. The people I worked with were already closing in. It was going to happen. At least I helped plead the cases of the employees. I had to explain that we had to allow such things to happen, otherwise we would lose our jobs and be prepared by more willing persons. I know it was one company, but I feel accomplished. I also wash my hands of this field. It's taken way too much from me. I've decided to invest most of my money and enjoy myself. I've worked so hard, but have not even taken a holiday in a while. I deserve it. I also deserve to be part of the town away from Charlene. I never knew how annoying her persistenceness was till I divorced her. I can't believe I actually used to think it was cute. She's been pestering me, asking for forgiveness, because now her meal ticket is sayonara. I'm still shocked that she's even begging me. I thought it was easy for her to trap rich men, but I guess there's significantly less rich men to trap now that most of them in the town are in jail with frozen assets. She claims that she had a bout of madness, which is why she even entertained that old man. She said she never loved him and had always loved me. She was just so mad at me and she kept on expecting me to fight for her, but I didn't. She was clearly trying to shift the blame on me, gaslighting, so that she did not have to take the responsibility of her own. I blocked her everywhere and eventually left town, changed my number. I couldn't deal with her harassment. Desperation is not a good look on her. Safe to say that I'm not going to be dating anyone like her anytime soon. I think that I want someone with better morals and a better heart next time.